All right, let's begin. What? We're in Siman Sadi, Sif Chaf Aleph. We're learning the laws of davening and where to daven in shul and things, other things related to where exactly a person should pray. So we're going to do the Shulchan Aruch and then the Mishnah Berurah. So starting with the Shulchan Aruch. When you daven, you have to make sure that there's nothing interposing. Oh, hello, welcome. Wait. Okay, well, wait. 1 second. We're talking about the law that when you daven in shul, you shouldn't have something between you and the wall. When you daven,
you shouldn't have something between you and the wall?
Right. Like you shouldn't have objects interposing between yourself and the wall. Now, there's going to be exceptions and different things, and we're going to learn a few different opinions, and then we'll get to the bottom of the matter. Now, so that's the first line we read. You can't have something interposing between you and the wall. V'davar kavua kagon aron v'teva einam chotzesin. Now, something which is always there, like the bima, that doesn't make a blockage. That's not considered something blocking. It's always there.
Like the box, that would be it, right? Look behind you.
Oh. He doesn't mean that. He means like a bima that was like in the floor.
I think what you mean is, would that be something that would be considered blocking?
So let's learn the whole thing and we'll decide after. All right. This is a big box like this. We got some kitchen stuff that's never going to be put in probably. But isn't that your department? Okay. V'lo chashuv mechitza rak b'davar. V'lo chashuv mechitza rak b'davar gadol shegavoa asara v'rach bo arba. Something is only considered a block, an interposition, if it's 10 tefachim tall. This is a tefach, it's the width of your fist. So 10 of these guys, whatever, and then 4 tefachim wide. A little thing, you got like a book in front of you, that's not called interposing. Also animals. They don't make an interposition. So say you're davening and you got a gerbil in front of you. It's probably not such a great idea.
What?
A gerbil. Well, you have a pet gerbil.
That's another question. Would you have an animal? Why would there be an animal? You're allowed to be an animal?
Let's say you're davening in your house.
Okay, in your house.
Rav Moshe has a tshuva about seeing eye dogs. Seeing eye dogs are allowed in shul. But, yeah. Well, yeah, okay. Afilu adam ein chotzitz, and he says here, a human being does not make an interposition, right? Otherwise, how could you daven behind someone in shul if that's a problem? V'linir at the balichaim chotzitzin v'adam ein chotzitz v'chenir svaras haposkim v'evshir denafal tos b'sfarim. Now that what I just read was a Shulchan Aruch. That's the Mechaber who is for the Sfardim, but the Ramah, who is the decider of Jewish law for Ashkenazic Jewry, says that an animal does make an interposition, but a human being does not. So according to him, if you have a dog in front of you, you shouldn't daven if there's a dog between you and the wall. Or a cow if you live in a farm.
Even if you're in your house?
Even if you're in your house. You should daven close to the wall. If you have a pet, you shouldn't have the pet interposing in between you, if it's like a big pet.
What's the significance of the wall? Why are we concerned with the actual
wall? What if
wall?
he's on the side of you?
That's fine. But I'm wondering just now, we're going to see the reason in a second in the Mishnah Berurah. But I'm wondering now that we said that to have something interposing between you and the wall, it has to be 10 tefachim tall and 4 tefachim wide. Now,
a dog's not that
right? I was thinking a dog is very small, so I'm wondering if he's only talking about like a cow or something.
Oh no, a little dog like that.
Yeah, so I'm wondering also because he just says he doesn't specify the size limits.
High or,
Right, it could be that animals are different, so we need to check into that. Okay, so now what the reason is? The Mishnah Berurah says, "Shelo yehei davar chotzeit shenemar vayasev Chizkiyahu panav al hakir veispalo." There's a verse about Chizkiyahu. How do you say it in English? Chizkiyahu. Is that Hezekiah?
Yeah.
Hezekiah. When he prayed to the wall. It says he davened facing the wall. So from that, the rabbis derive that you shouldn't daven with anything between you and the wall.
What if the wall's blank? You're davening to the wall.
Oh, you're not davening to the wall, but you're facing the wall.
Oh.
Right. We're going to talk about if you have pictures on the wall. If that's an issue, we're going to talk about that next. Hello.
Hi, sorry.
No problem. I didn't send out a text this week, so it's my fault. Everyone got 3 emails. That was enough. So.
Only 3?
Yeah. Oh no, right. Okay. Now the Mishnah Berurah says that this isn't like ma'akiv, what's called, like if you have no other option or something and there's something interposing between you and your davening in the wall, you still daven. This is only a mitzvah min hamufchar. It's like a nice thing to do, a preferable thing to do. But if you have no other place to daven, there's no prohibition to daven like this. Al kain im I afshir bekalos lispal ben yinacher kigon lepa'amim shebespal basar be'ez echeder vi afshir l'chol adam lama bli chatzis l'kos al yagav atfilu b'shul zel l'cheder achar lispal mikol makom yatzamen avo yispal mitoch hasider v'lo yabel l'chutz kadei shul yavol lidei bid l'kavan al yidei davar chutz l'fanav. Says now, for example, let's say sometimes we daven in people's houses and it's very squished and you have no other option except to stand where there's something between you and the wall. So he says, of course you should daven there, and you shouldn't go daven in another place, so you'll miss davening with the minyan. It's more important to daven in that room. And he says, though, you should close your eyes or you should look in the siddur so you don't get distracted. So it sounds like when there's something interposing, the issue is that it'll be a distraction.
So you shouldn't daven in front of a window.
Well, we had before, actually, on the contrary, that you should, because if you lose your intent, your kavanah, then you could look to the heavens and be inspired. But actually, you're supposed to have windows in shul for that reason. We don't really have here, so we're in an office building. But most shuls, right? All the shuls pretty much in Manalapan have windows in the front. All the Orthodox shuls, and I think Also, we learned also when you're davening in your house, you should hopefully. I think we said you're supposed to have a window there to focus for that reason. Okay. Then we can have afilu im hu rachok min akir she'omid be'emtza beis hakneses gam ken yesh li zar shelo yachatz ben akir b'frim begadim mitzad lomer di'im hachatzitzu hu chutz ha'dama zimena v'shus ha'cheresi v'shari v'chein pasik magning barim. So it sounds like, what if it's a big shul, you're davening here, and there's something, the wall's over there, and there's something like interposing between you and the wall, but it's like 8 feet away from you. It's daled amos away from you. Is that still called an interposition? So that's a debate between this first opinion of the Mishnah Berurah and the Pri Megadim that says that that's not an issue. Now, I'm surprised nobody asked me a question. What about chairs and tables? Every shul, everywhere, has chairs and tables and a stender. What about that?
Not 10 tefachim.
Stender might be. 4 tefachim wide, maybe not. But this table is for sure 10. This is 10 by 4. So you shouldn't.
Maybe you're using it for your siddur.
Who said that makes a difference?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. So let's learn.
Maybe that does.
Maybe it doesn't. I'm just messing with you. Rag b'davar gadol. I'm skip that. V'teva. So it looks like what you said is actually a debate between the Taz and the Magen Avram, I believe. Umita shalanu ha'asiyos l'shchiva ve'ein derech le'tatl me'makom l'makom nikraos davar kavua ve'enim chotzesin ve'yish chalkim b'tov l'hachmer b'da'avsher. He says that I guess they had some beds in shul where they would lie down on or sit. I'm not totally clear, but they didn't move. They were fixed in the ground. Magen Avram says that that's called a set thing, because remember we said a davar kavua, something which is set, that doesn't make an interposition. And he says there are those that argue, and if you could be stringent, then that's good. So that's one opinion, meaning that only when something is attached to the ground, that's when it does not called an interposition. So that wouldn't be good for these tables or for these guys, right? These big things, you could move them; they're not attached, so those would interpose. But however, then the Mishnah Berurah brings the opinion of the Taz. Rak b'davar gadol, I'm b'Taz. Techol davar shehu tzarich tefillah. Anything which is used for davening, it's for a need for davening. Afilu hu gadol harbe, even if it's very very big. Enu chashiv hefsek. It's not considered an interposition. Kigon hashulchan shebabayis shemanichan alav siddur.
I got a question.
Let me just finish this
okay,
line.
Right.
No problem. No, sorry. Just when we have a table where you put the siddur, that's not an interposition. Ulchein nagu b'beis hakneses sheish lifnei kol echad shulchan katan shekar stender. People have a stender in the shul. Shemanichan alav siddur. Mafal pisha gavoa asara v'rachav arba. He says even I guess their stenders were very big. Even though the stender is 10 by 4, v'chein kasur sharachan, it's fine according to the Taz. So anything in the shul which is used for davening doesn't make an interposition. So this table, people put their siddur on, it's fine. But those guys, there's no reason for davening, so that would make an interposition. Now that's the opinion of the Taz, which I'm assuming the Mishnah Berurah is going with. I'm not 100% sure, because he also brought that other more stringent opinion that only when something is like bolted into the ground, which I think they make the point that even bimas, they're usually you can move the bima if you have to. They're not like totally. Most bimas aren't like bolted totally in the ground. Sorry, question.
Yeah.
I got a question.
You say this opinion said this and this opinion said that.
Right.
How do you know which opinion to listen to?
So I'll tell you. The Mishnah Berurah is this is the Chavetz Chaim wrote about 100 years ago, and in many things people treat it as the final word. So I generally, not all the time, Generally, we go with the Mishnah Berurah, and in general, that's why a person needs to have a rebbe, have a teacher, so you can tell him who to hold like. Or when you get very experienced in learning and you've been studying for many years and you know how the psak halacha works and how to decide halacha, then you can kind of decide yourself, learning through the sugya. My Rosh Yeshiva, years ago, he had a certain halachic question and he asked the Stipler, who was the big rabbi in Bnei Brak in Israel. He passed away in 1986, and he asked him a certain question, so he told him to study the Talmudic topic and decide what he thinks is correct. I mean, if you already get to a level of being a Torah scholar, you can decide that. Come, welcome. Hey, come, join us.
More seats?
Oh, of course. Well,
We got out of baseball a little early, and so we're having a special class.
sounds good. I hope you won.
Yeah, it was just practice for him.
Ah, all right.
He wins every time he practices.
That's the spirit. We're talking about. We were a detour. We're talking about how do you decide halachic opinions? How do you know? You have a lot of opinions in Judaism. How do you know who to go like? So this specific book that we're learning now is called the Mishnah Berurah. That was a book written by the Chafetz Chaim, who wrote the book about being careful, the laws of speech, about how to be careful, the laws of lashon hara. So he also wrote a halachic work where he really went through all the opinions and he decides what the best, how we paskin, what the halacha should be like. And most Ashkenazi Jews go like this. Oh wait, yeah, you're Ashkenazi. And in general, it's saying if a person becomes like a real Torah scholar, then he can start learning the sugyas on it, by himself and deciding who to go like. But that's why it's important also to have a rebbe, a teacher, because in Judaism you have a lot of opinions, and you need to have a teacher to tell you who to go like. When we had a temple, we had a Sanhedrin. So it used to be you have two rabbis who have a different opinion, the Sanhedrin would vote, and that would be the halacha, and that's what the whole Jewish people did. But since we haven't had that, so you have different groups of Jews have different customs and different ways how to paskin, and when you paskin a certain way, there's rules to the halachic system, right? You have some frauds, unfortunately, who just like say, oh, there's opinions in Judaism, so you can,
Make it
right.
Easier for you.
You could be like a woman rabbi driving to shul on Yom Kippur eating a ham sandwich, because there's a lot of opinions in Judaism, right? That doesn't go. You have to learn the halachic methodology and know how to do it and have a rebbe. And then I already had a question.
Yeah, I want to ask you, it's really two questions. When you talk about davening, right? So say a person's home, what constitutes the proper attire? Like saying maybe the person's well, and what is, like he's in his pajamas, right? And say that he ran late or whatever, and what does he have to wear in order to daven? That's one thing. And how does it hold if a person's sick? Okay, and he's going to daven also, since you're talking about davening.
Right. So
there's a related issue.
Yeah, it is. I'll summarize it now. That's actually going to be the next simon. That we're on 90. That's going to be 91. What you can wear, but generally you shouldn't daven in pajamas. Mm-hmm. You should wear shoes. Shouldn't daven in socks. You should not wear shorts. You should wear long pants.
What's that?
Oh, you should not wear shorts when you daven. You know who was very strict about this? Rabbi Shor. When I was a kid, and if I wanted to daven for the Amud at Sons of Israel for Marv. He made me.
Pair of pants.
No, so he didn't. The Cantor Rosen actually had a spare pair of pants in his office that he let me put on. They're kind of tight, but I remember them being tight.
Rabbi Shor.
Right, Rabbi Shor used to make us. If you wanted to daven for the Amud, you have to put on pants. You have the real thing you're supposed to. Oh, and also, it's a nice thing to also wear a jacket. The general thing is, I had a friend in yeshiva who anytime he davened, he would put on a tie. The reason is because you're supposed to daven the way you would greet a king. Right. Think about if someone, just assuming you're not like a Trump hater, and someone would say you want to meet the president, how would you dress? You would probably put on a suit and tie. So for sure you wouldn't go in your socks and shorts and underwear, or pajamas. So you shouldn't be davening like that. But we'll learn more details.
Pajamas said Trump across the front.
Right. Then he probably beautiful.
Probably okay.
Great pajamas. Great pajamas. But you asked if you're sick, so I don't know exactly which leniencies you could. Go with if you're sick. Actually, I had in yeshiva, they really daven with a hat and jacket also, because it used to be, I don't know if you remember, back in the day I was told that people used to wear hats all the time in the street. So that became the thing that a yeshiva bacher, yeshiva student, when he davens, has to wear a hat and jacket. And that kind of just like stayed. And one time, my yeshiva, I think, was davening, it was at a wedding, and he didn't have his hat. And Rav Hutner told him, it was a big yeshiva in New York, that it's better to daven alone with a hat and jacket than with a minyan without a hat and jacket. for the honor of being a Torah student. Part of the thing is also like someone who studies Torah. What he's doing is very important, right? We're created to study Torah, and that's the biggest mitzvah that we could do. So a Torah student has to be respected. In Slobodka, in the yeshiva, they dressed very, very refined because they're important what they were doing, and they should view themselves like that. I think the Rav Ruderman, who's my Rosh Yeshiva's Rosh Yeshiva, he once, I think someone was looking for his jacket, and they found a jacket that his student thought he found his jacket, and someone else told him, no, that has a stain on it. He would never wear a jacket with a stain on it, because they were like impeccable dressers to show the honor of Torah. Okay, so we're just talking about when you daven, that you can't have something interposed between you and the wall. And we just saw the opinion of the Taz, that if the thing that's interposing between you is something you need for davening, like a table, like you're using a table to put your sitter on, that's fine. But something like that, there's no purpose of davening. You really shouldn't daven in front of that. It's between you and the wall. And the reason is it's based on a verse from Yecheskel, that Yecheskel daven facing the wall. And it seems like the reason is because you might get distracted. Okay, even if something, and we said it's only a big thing that if it interposes. So if it's right, if it's, let's say it has to be 10 tefachim. This is a tefach, the width of your hand, so it has to be 10 tefachim tall and 4 tefachim wide for it to be a problem. And he says even if it's only 4 tefachim on the top and not on the bottom, that's also a problem. Okay, lo chashiv hefsek v'primigan mecholik v'chem b'sever mamar. Chorag was over Shuvas Aram Shehu and Beis Yosef l'mash machi m'kol makam so sound Beis Hakenes l'kol yama lo chashiv hefsek t'kvuyim him. The benches that they have in shul, since they're attached to the ground, anything which is attached to the ground also seems like it's fine. And the benches that they had in shul were attached to the ground, so those are fine. So it's not like 100% clear here, but it definitely sounds like the Mishnah Berurah is saying that anything you have, even if it's not attached to the ground, but it's used for davening, like a shtender, the bima, a table that you put your sitter on, that doesn't interpose. But something like that, a random box, that would interpose, or an animal, we said, and we weren't clear if it has to be a big animal or a little animal. Is it only like a cow or maybe even a dog or something? And we also said that if you're in a room where there's no other place to daven, you can daven with something interposing between you and the wall, and this is only like a preferable thing to do. Okay, the next... the pictures are the next one. Okay, fine. Chav Beis v'yesh misha omer sheyesh li zar milispal achuri shum adam v'tov lachush l'dvar. There are those that say that you shouldn't daven behind anybody, and it's good to be careful for his words. The Mishnah Berurah says, "Kasav b'sefer Maimon Mordechai l'chari yesh l'dak b'gazay." He says, "How can you be careful with this? The eich efshar sheyeh kol ha'am ha'omdim b'beis hakenes is neged hakoso below avsakas adam." How could you do this? You're going to have a shul. If you shouldn't daven behind anybody, you're going to have a shul where everybody's standing on the eastern wall. And that's like a very long shul. So he writes, "L'chein nira da'af lahayesh omrim lo have hafsek gomer shia asu l'chol adam." So he doesn't mean el zahir ba'al mashesh l'zar b'da'afshir. He doesn't mean this is like a real halacha. This is just something you should try to do if you can to daven near the wall and without anybody interposing. But in a shul where there's so many people there and it's impossible to do anything else, that's fine. Okay, fine. Let's do one more halacha because this one's very close to my heart because it came up for me often. Let's say they used to have, I think they're called tapestries, like begadim, like material that they had pictures on them. Pictures. So tapestries. Even though they don't stick out, so pictures. You have pictures on the wall, you shouldn't daven facing a picture. Now, if you happen to be in front of a picture, you should avert your eyes. Now, it says, the Ramah adds, you also shouldn't daven with a sitter. You're not supposed to have pictures in your sitter or your benches. Do you ever see that really cool bencher where it has pictures of Israel in it, like really great pictures of Israel? So you're not supposed to have that.
Haggadahs,
because
you mean? Like what Haggadahs have?
Haggadahs, that's a good question. Haggadahs have a lot of pictures. That's a good question. He says here for sure, Siddurim, you're not supposed to have pictures of them because you're going to get distracted when you're davening. And I can tell you from first-hand experience, I use that really cool bencher with really cool pictures of Israel. They have like this bird's eye view of the Temple Mount, and you definitely get distracted. So you're not supposed to do that. And the point is also, you're not supposed to daven a shul, right? You for sure shouldn't have pictures in front of you because you'll get distracted. Somebody tried to tell me that this only means pictures of people, but it doesn't say that. Nothing to do with pictures of people, just regular pictures, because it distracts you. Sometimes you might be someone, God forbid, might be in a shiva house, and you might be diving in someone's living room, and there might be a picture there. You shouldn't dive in there because it'll be distracting. If for sure a picture of a person or a rabbi, you shouldn't dive in facing them. That's a problem. I actually know somebody who, I won't say who. There's this guy that he's just becoming religious, and he had where he davened, he would like put on tefillin, he would pray, and he had a big picture of a famous rabbi there, and he would daven to the picture of the rabbi. And he met the rabbi, and he was very excited. He's like, "Oh, I daven to your picture every day. I pray to your picture." He says, "No, don't do that. Stop."
Almost like idol worship.
It's exactly idol worship. That's not our religion. But you shouldn't have regular pictures either because it's very distracting. Of begadim shemitzur aleim divrei tiflos. And then he says, I guess they had these materials with inappropriate pictures on them. He says, for sure, you shouldn't bring them in the shul even to sit on them because they're inappropriate. I guess they had that back then also. Okay, so let's do the Mishnah Berurah here.
If you're davening in your living room and there's a picture in front of you, you should not daven over there.
Yeah, you shouldn't daven facing the picture. It's distracting. Try to, and if you have no other choice, you're like in a shiva house, and there's like a picture in front of you, he says, just close your eyes and don't look at it.
Were we?
It seems to be fine. It seems like just like pictures. This looks fine. Okay, Mishnah Berurah.
And this is just in front, not the sides or back?
Yeah, it seems like just facing a picture, and it doesn't mention anything about a picture of a person.
I daven in my dining room, and the picture is the kaisel, and I never even noticed it until you brought it up.
Ooh.
So if you don't notice it.
Yeah, this is the source where it is.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. I was actually in a shul that had animals on top, like, and that wasn't just pictures, like models of animals. So I asked the rabbi why that's okay, and he's going to say over here in a second. So tziyur and besvarim, you shouldn't put the pictures in the books. V'chein yesh li zar. He says you shouldn't have pictures in shul in front of people. Actually, I wondered about the sometimes in the Aron, the parochas, you have like a fancy picture. I wonder if that's
lions
an issue.
or something.
Yeah. But I don't know. Have to look into that. Okay. If you have pictures in the shul, they should be higher than the way people could look. So the shul I davened, I asked the rabbi, and that's what he told me. They're like very high up, these like animals, which was just like kind of weird. But then it was like odd. It's interesting. I was distracted by them. I told him. So,
right, so the height, it didn't matter. You were still distracted.
I was distracted. Maybe because I'm taller. I don't know. But no, he does say here. He brings someone on the side. They quote from Shlomo Zalman Auerbach, I think, or somebody else, that even higher it's a problem because people do get distracted, especially if you like cool animals. I don't know.
Especially if you're new to the building.
Yeah. I'm like checking out. Yeah, I get distracted by anything. Yeah. Okay, let's just finish this halacha. Oh, you also can't daven facing a mirror. It looks like you're bowing to yourself. Even if your eyes are closed, the where you can't, even with your eyes closed. Someone said that maybe a mirror could be more lenient because when you bow, he bows also. So I don't know.
How about like on like some walls they have like certain designs, like some have like stripes, some have like swirls right there, like there's different like kind of walls.
I feel like that's not a problem.
Yeah, I feel like it's fine, but I don't know why.
You can't move it. Goes to the whole can.
Yeah, no, it sounds like fine, but I don't know why. I mean, it should be.
I'm saying like some people like.
You're saying just like designs on the wallpaper.
Yeah, like designs. Yeah.
Right. I would guess it's fine, but like it's not like a real picture. That's what I'm guessing.
Yeah.
I would have to confirm. I have to ask that in addition to asking the Parochas question. Okay. It says this was about the mats that had inappropriate things drawn on them. You shouldn't do that. It says you should not bring a abomination into your house. Or even in your house, it's also forget bring it into a shul. You shouldn't even bring it in your house. Okay, so we have a few more halachas in this siman, and then after that we'll have the siman about what you should wear, how a person should dress when he davens. Hopefully we'll also get to Arnie's question, if you're sick, can you be lenient in that? Thanks for coming.